This is Chapter 1, the Mobile Jungle for mobile-compatible web programming. The contents of this chapter include the mobile ecosystem, where we will see what the different devices that comprise this ecosystem and the characteristics of these, and which ones are of interest to this course and which ones are not, as well as which ones we should pay special attention to. The second topic is brands, models, and platforms. We'll talk about Apple, Android, and some others. And finally, technical information is where you can find information about the device, and we'll talk about the vendor websites, which are pretty complete. What is a mobile device anyways? Is it a smartphone? Is it a handheld device? Is it a notebook or a music player? Normally, an acceptable definition is a portable, personal, almost always carried on, easy and fast to use, and it connects to networks. And I would ask you to think about, when is the last time that you were away from your phone? Many people have a hard time remembering this, because the fact is that many of us rely so much on our smartphones that we have them with us at all times. Now, let's see which mobile devices are covered in this course and which ones meet all of the requirements for a mobile device and yet have nothing to do with this course. First of all, we have the all Nokia phones. They don't have a browser, and there is no possibility of installing one. Basically, the software that you get is what software you'll have for the rest of the life of your phone. So they are not of interest in this course. Secondly, we have the low-end mobile devices. They improve a little bit on the interface. However, they are not multi-touch, and the built-in web browser is very basic. So we won't touch on these devices either. The next kind of device is the mid-range mobile device. These ones have a bunch of other features like a camera, music player, and so on. Unfortunately, they use proprietary operating system, and there is no portability across vendors. Their browser is still very simple compared to the modern browsers, so we won't try to cover compatibility for these devices either. The next type of device is a high-end mobile device. These ones have a bunch of features of smartphones, yet they are not called smartphones because they are not multi-touch. And the multi-touch capability is one of the main concerns, because that dictates the way you navigate in a browser, and therefore the way you interact with the mobile designs that we will discuss in this course. So we will not involve high-end mobile devices in this course. We will, however, involve smartphones and all the different browsers that work with the smartphones. There is many different browsers, and each of those browsers come in many different versions. So the variety is actually pretty big. By saying that we will only occupy on smartphones, it doesn't mean that we're actually narrowing down dramatically our scope. It actually means that we will be able to focus more on the things that are predominant in the market. In terms of the iPod Touch, it meets all of the requirements that we talk about for mobile devices and for smartphones. Of course, this is not a phone, but it does have most of the capabilities of smartphones. It does, however, use the Safari browser, which we will be covering in this course because of the iPhone. The next category is the wearables. Smartwatches connect to your phone via Bluetooth. They have they can use many features of your phone, and however, the interface is so small, and browsers are still primitive compared to browsers on a smartphone. So we are not going to include these wearables in the course. The next category belongs to devices that they have a bigger screen and they use browsers that are also used in the mobile web, such as Chrome or Safari. We have the example of the Chromebook or the iPad. These devices are very portable. However, the screen is so big that we won't, the size of the screen is not going to be a concern, which is actually a concern for smartphones because you have very limited space, as well as the resolution is something that is one of the major concerns. So we will not cover browsers for these devices, but we will cover different screen sizes. Now let's talk about brands, models, and platforms. The first one we have here is Apple. So Apple revolutionized the way we think about music and how we hear music in our device, how we store it. Ever since the iPod came out, they started to improve. They came out with the multi-touch screen. The iPhone came out, and it's been quite successful up to these days. Of course, new products, new devices have taken some of the market share, but still Apple is one of the big giants. So every time there is a new phone out, there is a software upgrade, and mainly because these new phones come with new hardware capabilities, so they need a new operating system to deal and interface with those. And if you have an older device, you won't be able to install or to upgrade to the new software. Eventually, you're stuck with an old operating system version, but that's how the market works these days. One thing that is good is that depending on the operating system version that you have, the interface is going to be different. So every time they come up with nicer interfaces and more powerful interfaces, so we get that for free. You can create your website, and regardless of how you set up your website, the interface is going to show different depending on which browser they open your website. The second platform in the list is the Android. Now, Android is one of the most popular operating systems in the world, and it has taken a big chunk of the market share with the iOS. It not only works on smartphones, but it also works in other kinds of devices, like personal video playing glasses, a Google TV, some tablets, and so on. New Android versions come out using food names for code names, and these names come in alphabetical order. That's the pattern they have followed ever since the first release in 2008. The Windows Phone, I think it's important to mention because it's a very serious competitor. I wouldn't say so much for the big giants for Android and iOS, but more for BlackBerry and some others. If you look at the trends, we'll talk about that at the end of this section. Windows is a very good competitor with BlackBerry, and they displace them in some cases, but they keep the competition. The race is on, whereas at the very top of the market share are Android and iOS. So there are other platforms and brands like the Nokia. They were very successful. They deploy their devices worldwide, although now then they were purchased by Microsoft, and the landscape changed totally. We have the BlackBerry. The BlackBerry is struggling in the past recent years, competing with the Windows Phone, and struggling really to penetrate the market. They have tried to eliminate the QWERTY keyboard, the physical keyboard. So they went to the BB10 operating system with a virtual keyboard, and then they came back with the Passport. That's what they call the other phones. So the Passport actually does have a physical keyboard, and so they keep trying different formulas, but I don't think they have come back to where they once were. Of course, we have Samsung and some others like Sony, Motorola, acquired by Google. So every time there is an acquisition of this magnitude, the whole landscape changes. That's why it's important to take a course like this, because we're going to learn how to generate our web pages and how to make them compatible with the predominant platforms and browsers in the market. One thing to note here is talk about the Kindle Fire. The Kindle Fire is a very nice device. It's a tablet, and it comes with a proprietary Amazon browser. Now, as nice as the device is, the market share for the Kindle Fire is not that big. So therefore, we have to be careful in this course where we spend most of our time and efforts. And we're going to try to focus on the two platforms that are the most predominant in the market, which is Android and iOS. There is LG as well, and then there is the Palms, the PDAs. We won't cover this in the course, of course. There is the HTC, the Firefox OS, the Ubuntu phones, Chinese platforms, and so on. There is the Smart TV browsers, which are not very advanced, which are not very friendly, and not many people actually use them compared to the number of people using browsers on smartphones. So also Smart TV browsers are not going to be part of this course either. So where to go for information about the device, and I'm talking about hardware or characteristics of the device. You can always go to the vendor's website. They have very detailed information. Not only that, but also for design purposes, they can give you very good guidelines for their user interfaces so that you can create the better user experience that you can, the best user experience that you can, and produce applications that are very in line with the look and feel of that given platform. It's very interesting to look at the mobile market statistics. I suggest that you regularly check this because it's very interesting to see how the market is moving and how the competition is on, and how there are markers where one of them goes to the first place, and then they switch and so on, and also try to match that with the launching of new devices, and also problems that have happened, and recalls and things like that. So it is quite interesting to see how this is changing. And also, if you look regionally, you can see how the market is changing so rapidly.